Hi everybody, my name is Olivia Rose. If you are watching this, you've somehow stumbled across my YouTube channel. Today I am filming my very first YouTube video to post on my brand new channel. The channel that I want to create is going to be about things that I'm really passionate about, including witchcraft, paranormal experiences, magic, fairies, fantasy worlds, all of the above. I follow the religion of Wicca, and a lot of other members of my family also do. So I grew up kind of in that whole world of believing in things that other people think are just from storybooks. So I think maybe there are some other people out there who may like to listen to the experiences that I've had. I also would like to review and relay other people's experiences, or maybe hear about some things out there that people have experienced that I never heard of before or I've never gone through before. I'm open to anything. So for my first video today, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a paranormal story time from when I was probably just about 13, and I hope that just gives a little preview into what my channel overall is going to be about. So I'm going to share this experience that I had, and I hope that somebody out there enjoys listening to it. Just a disclaimer, I am filming this on my cell phone because I have no monies, and I would appreciate the understanding because I am very new at this. So let's get started. Back when I was about 13, I had a friend who I guess I'll just call Jill. And Jill was in my class, and she invited me to her birthday party. You know, normal stuff. The birthday party was going to be at a haunted house. Kinda normal stuff. She was kind of a goth kind of girl. She was pretty cool. This place was called Valentine, and this haunted house ended up being a whole lot more like a museum, where they had glass cases of antiques and furniture on display so that you could see what it was like, but you couldn't really, interact with it, because this building was built in the 1800s, and it was an actual house. So it wasn't just a haunted house exhibit, it was an actual antique home that people had lived in the 1800s. So there were 3 stories to this house, and it kind of looked like a barn. It was just a big square. And the first floor was kind of the museum part, where they had all the glass cases of antiques, they had all the antique furniture laid out. The second floor, I have no idea what was on it. I don't think we really spent that much time on the second floor. And the third floor was a ballroom, and it took up the whole floor, and it was huge, high ceilings, big windows, just spectacular, gorgeous ballroom. Except that it was the middle of the night, so it was creepy AF. There was no lights, so it was just this really, really creepy vibe. We all had flashlights, and that was it. So on the first floor, the way that the museum rooms were laid out, there was a kitchen, there was a dining room, there was a living room, and there was kind of like a bar. It looked like a bar. It looked like a bar, and it had like an actual bar, and then behind the bar there were shelves where you would put bottles of liquor, or it could have been an apothecary. I mean, you could put herbs and supplies back there, and I don't know, that's kind of what I thought, but it's probably a bar, considering this place did have a ballroom. Maybe it was like a party house or something. So there was also on the first floor this tiny, tiny little room about the size of a small bathroom, and it had zero purpose at all. The only thing that was in this room was an armchair. And as soon as we all saw this armchair, me and some of my close friends there definitely felt a presence surrounding this armchair. And the caretaker of the property accompanied us into this room with the armchair, and he explained to us He was like a nice old man who owned the property. So the caretaker explained to us that one of the women who had lived in the house had died in that armchair, which just, ugh. And then he told us that anybody who sits in this armchair will immediately start to cry and feel very sad for no reason. So, me being the kid that I was, obviously I did that. And that's exactly what happened. I sat down in the armchair and I started crying. And I also felt very compelled to stay in the armchair. I did not want to get up at all. But finally I did, and I don't really remember if anybody else sat in the armchair, but after that experience, I kind of knew that this wasn't going to be what we all expected it to be. This was actually going to be real. You know, no one was going to jump out at us or start a fog machine and make funny ghost noises or anything like that. It was actually going to be terrifying. The most terrifying part, which I'm going to get into next, was in the bar room. And the bar had the corridor going right through the center of the room, and then it had the bar on one side, and then it had like tables on the other. So right at the end of this corridor in the bar, there was a doorway. And through this doorway was the stairs that led to the second floor and then to the third floor. And this door was extremely thick. Like, there was a knot in the wood that the door was made out of. That's how thick that the wood was. So we split off into little squads, groups of kids, to go explore. You know, each group had a leader, and we all went off and just ran around and like looked at all the cool stuff. And for whatever reason, I stayed with Jill's mom. And all of my other friends were off playing with friends, and just all the kids were off running around doing their thing. And I decided to hang out with Jill's mom, who I'll just call Jane. Jill and Jane. So Jane and myself were downstairs. Everybody else had taken the groups upstairs to the third floor with some paranormal tools. They had an EMF, they had a spirit box, they had some lasers to see shadow people and things like that. So they all went upstairs, and Jane and I kind of just hung around the first floor. I don't really know why. Finally, we decided, let's go up and join the rest of the group. And we approached through the door to the stairwell. And the door was kind of like halfway open, as I remember it. And I walked first, and Jane walked behind me. And when I reached the door, I kind of put my hands out just to open the door all the way so that we could walk through it. And when I reached my hands out, the door slammed closed so hard it made an extremely loud bang, and I just stood there with my hands out in front of me and screamed at the top of my lungs, just completely dumbfounded. I just stood there and screamed and screamed. And the millisecond after the door had closed, I saw, I guess what you would describe as an orb. And I think it's maybe the only orb I've ever seen in my life. It flew from the door, past me and Jane, over the bar, and then out into some other room. And it was very, very clear. And the color I would probably describe as being brown. And I've read that brown orbs are often like earthly spirits, or very grounded spirits. So if this spirit was attached to the house or the property, and had been there for, 100 years, I suppose that might make sense. But I did get the feeling from the orb that the spirit or spirits were not happy ones. They were sad or angry. And, I think the door slamming kind of shows that part. And Jane saw it as well. She saw the orb. We talked about it, you know. We open the door, and all of the other kids from the 3rd floor are running downstairs with their leaders, and they're like, what happened? Why did you guys slam the door? Like, what's going on? When we told them, we asked, did you guys slam the door? Did someone come down here and slam the door to scare us? The leaders and the caretakers said that that is not what happened, that all of the children had been on the 3rd floor. So there was an entire empty floor between us. If we were on the 1st floor, they were on the 3rd floor, and then the 2nd floor there was nobody. And, you know, this place kind of had a reputation for being like a haunted exhibit. So our next thought was, maybe it's rigged to do this. Maybe there's some kind of mechanism to make doors slam so that it scares people. I could tell you, we searched from top to bottom of this door, of the stairwell, of the door frame, of the rooms on either side. We could not find anything that remotely resembled some kind of trigger or anything like that. And I also don't believe that there was, because of the feelings that I got from there actually being a spirit there and the things that I saw. This door was so freaking loud. I get that it was a heavy door, but it was just unbelievably loud how fast it slammed. Me and Jane, when we walked up to the door and pushed it, we couldn't even get it to slam that loud. We thought, hey, maybe it was like a draft or something. We looked through all the cracks and all the wood that made up the house. We looked at all the windows. We looked at just every corner of the room and of the stairwell to see if maybe there was somewhere where there was air getting in to maybe push or like suck the door closed. The windows of this place, because it was so old, were so thick, they almost looked like if you imagine a glass Coke bottle, like the bottom part, like it was really thick glass. You couldn't even clearly see through it. There was no drafts coming through those windows, and we couldn't find any part of the house that was open enough that air would come through. And finally, after we kind of recovered from this whole thing, and us as a whole party, we decided, all right, let's go upstairs, we'll move on, continue with our party. As we were going upstairs, Jane and I continued to lag behind because we were still a little shaken, whereas everybody else was kind of just laughing it off like, ha, Livy got scared. And as we were walking up the stairs behind everybody else, I felt the presence on the stairwell still there. And we'd gotten to the 2nd landing, so there was a set of stairs behind us and a set of stairs in front of us to go up to the 3rd floor. And we were standing on the landing. And we shined our flashlights up there. I didn't see anything, but I knew there was something there. For no reason. And I don't know where I pulled this from, but I decided to ask, if someone is there, knock twice. And then I reached to the banister and just knocked twice. And I swear, on my life, there were 2 knocks back. I didn't see anything. I didn't even see the banister move. I didn't see any shadows. I didn't see any movement. Nothing. Just heard the 2 knocks. And I guess it's possible that maybe somebody at the top of the stairs, another one of the kids, thought, ha, it'll be funny, she's already terrified. You know, maybe that's what happened. But I really did feel presences in Valentine. So if anybody's been to Valentine, shout out, cool. Let me know if you've had any experiences there. I would really appreciate feedback from anybody who actually watches this. So that is my paranormal story time at Valentine. And for future reference, anybody hears about Valentine who knows of it, most people will think that it's not haunted, that it's just like an exhibit or a museum that's like supposed to be haunted. And every time I am told that, I say no, nope, it is actually haunted. There are actually spirits there. I truly believe it. So, thank you so much. I really appreciate anybody who's out there listening, and hopefully my story was at least kind of cool to listen to. So, I'll see you in my next video. Peace.